All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. All right, real quick. So, I came across a couple articles revolving around this AI stuff, and basically, one is talking about for some recent graduates. I'm assuming college. It says for this from the New York Times, and this is from, was this today? Or this is 2 days ago. Today's the 30th. I mean, this is from the 30th, so this is a couple days ago. So this is from the New York Times, and it says, for some recent graduates, the AI job apocalypse may already be here. Now, I was talking with a brother, I believe that was Saturday, and we were talking about, we're talking heavy about this AI shit. We was actually talking about it Friday and Saturday. But, we talk about, like, in Revelation 13, the chapter, when it talks about the great wonders, like how he, basically going to deceive them, the beast is going to deceive them on the earth. And, we go into Revelation 13 chapter, like the first few verses, it goes heavy into what's going on. And it went to Esau's rulership. And also it goes hand in hand with Daniel's dream, or not Daniel's dream, but the king Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and Daniel, I believe, second chapter, where it talks about the beast and the 10 horns, so on and so forth. But I want to focus on, if I'm going to read it real quick. Hold up. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 13. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 14, and it reads, you know what? I'm going to start verse 13, and it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now, the devil with his space programs and all that shit he be doing, all that NASA shit, all this stuff he be doing in the sky, on the ground, all that stuff he be doing, right? Esau, I'm talking about. And in verse 14 it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now, we're talking about that sword that did heal. I'm going to go into the first chapter now. First verse. It reads, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now I believe when you go into the 7 heads, I believe that's the what's that, Spain, Britain, Germany, all those branches of Esau. I forget the 7 off the top. And the 10 horns go into the NATO. All this, the NATO, EU, all this stuff, all of Esau's structure. All right. And it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as feet of a bear. Now the leopard goes back to the Alexander the Greek Empire, and the bear is representing the Russians today. And his mouth as full as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I believe the lion will go back to being the Britons, and the dragon's going to go back to the ancient Roman Empire. And it says, verse 3, and it says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Now, Esau is straight wickedness, the border of wickedness. And it says, where's it? I'm going to jump down to verse 11. And it says, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now that goes back into the Democrats and the Republicans. And it says, and spake as a dragon. And you know what I'm saying? Because you got somebody was just talking about the Democrats and the Republicans and how like they try to act like they're at odds, but they're really not. Because when you really think about it, they're structured after the same cause. All right, and that also goes back up to the elites that control America and all these other motherfucking countries, Esau and all. All right, but that goes back into the Democrats and the Republicans, and it says, "Speak as a dragon." And it says, verse 12, and it says, "And he exercised all the power of the first beast," which goes back to the ancient Roman Empire, "before him, and caused of the earth, and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." That goes into America, shadowing the Roman Empire. But it's funny because now, nobody thinks like you still have Rome. Rome is still around, but it's not like what it once was. Now America is a shadow of the ancient Roman Empire, but it's still Esau, Edom nonetheless. All right, it's all part of the same structure. The beast, the dragon, all that. You know what I'm saying? It's all Edomites. All right, even though Russia is not part of the beast. But when we go back to Daniel, the 7th chapter, it says, Revelation, the 17th chapter, says the beast shall hate the whore. Now, the whore is America. And that's why you have now all these motherfucking EU, European countries, NATO countries, they all at odds with America. And it's a lot to do with Amalek, whether it be the Ukrainians or the fucking small hats over there in Israel, our land. All right? But the point being, to verse 13, and it says, now this one I want to bring up. Now this goes into AI, and I'm going to go back to that article. Now it says, Revelation 13 and 13, it says, "And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." And verse 14, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast." Now you have, now we go into this AI stuff. Because now, I ain't never think of it before, like the AI being those signs of wonder, but when you think about it, what the AI does, and how much they're putting their trust and faith in it, and how much they're like pushing it forward to usher it out to the whole world, digitizing everything. I just heard something early this morning where they said some, I forget what state, but basically, the state is gonna do things to like with your like records, like your birth certificate, like important documents, how they're gonna make it more digitized. All right, just like the same thing they're doing with the currency. They're trying to digitize everything. This the new world we in. This AI, artificial intelligence. Think about it, artificial intelligence. Esau created something that's going to cause wonders on the earth. His technology. Remember, his technology is his kingdom. Remember, he's trying to be like the Most High. The Most High, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, is the ultimate technology. Because YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, is an energy source. See, Esau can't make energy. Energy is energy. Energy comes from the Father. YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, the Spirit. That's why Esau can't retain the Spirit. No man can retain the Spirit. All right? But those great wonders go into this AI and his technology. Think about it. Now you're going to have something to where you can buy and sell. You're going to get implanted in your hand or in your forehead. You have something now. You have this AI stuff that has people that's dead, people that's known to be dead, out here looking like they're alive, doing performances. You got people that, I forget what rap artist, but he had something fucked up with his voice, so he can still write, but now he's talking about he want to use the AI, the AI voice to make music, just like how they doing with the movies and shit. All the entertainment, they making movies, they making TV shows, they doing all this AI stuff. You got a bunch of AI on social media, AI pages. I never forget the one I saw where it's like people arm wrestling. They had Michael Jackson and Prince arm wrestling. All right. I want to say they might have had Biggie and Tupac arm wrestling. Now you can see it's fake, but it looks just that real to where it's like, oh shit, like that's kind of interesting. All right. And it says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live." So deadly wound healed. And it says, "And he had powers to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed." All right. So what? The image of the beast. which goes back into what? The image of the beast. Image goes back to the you know, you can say the what's the shit? Baphomet, all of that. They said surgical shit, but that shit really goes back to that Baphomet. That's that pentagram, all of that, all that stuff that Esau do, it goes back to the beast system. The stuff he about to bring out. And ultimately he's going to bring out what? The image and the mark. And it says in verse 16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Now think about it. With this AI stuff, if it's taking away jobs, you're still going to need to buy and sell. So this devil already has the mark. He already has the MOTB created and assembled. But now, soon he's going to bring the cause. And his cause is going to involve what? This AI stuff. Because if AI is going to cause people to lose their jobs, a job apocalypse for entry-level white-collar jobs, what? And they're talking about the near future is going to do this. It's already doing it now. AI taking jobs. All right, so let me go back to this article. Oops. So yeah, this is from New York Times. New York Times. And it says, for some recent graduates, the AI job apocalypse may already be here. It says the unemployment rate for recent college graduates has jumped as companies try to replace entry-level workers with artificial intelligence. So they're already in the process of replacing these motherfuckers. Now, these motherfuckers, you spent hella money on college, got your degree, spent thousands of dollars, years of your life, and now all of a sudden for these companies to say, you know what, we don't need you. We're gonna use artificial intelligence instead, which goes back into what? Hold on, let me get this real quick. Which goes into Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm going to read verse 4, and it's the NLT. It says, remember him before the door to life's opportunities is closed and the sound of work fades. Now, that's what's happening right now. The sound of work is fading. And it's a large part because of this AI. A very large part is because of this AI. All right? And it says, and the sound of work fades. Sound of work fades. It says, now you rise at the first chirping of the birds, but then all their sounds shall be fake. But when you go into verse 3, of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3, it says, I'm reading this in King James, it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Now, what's the keepers of the house? These financial people. And they've been saying for a couple years now, what, it's going to be an economic collapse. There's going to be a stock market crash. They've been warning, they've been saying it. It's not like they haven't said it. The Lord has had them say it out of their own mouths. Talk about Esau, Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett. People high up in the financial industry, people high up in the financial world and financial knowledge. They're saying that it's going to be an economic collapse. Go back to the, oops. Fuck. So it says this month, now remember this article came out on May 30th, which is a couple days ago. It says this month, millions of young people will graduate from college and look for work in industries that have little use for their skills, view them as expensive and expendable, and are rapidly phasing out their jobs in favor of artificial intelligence. What did the scriptures say? The door to life's opportunities close and the sound of work fades. Now here it is, you got a college degree. So what college graduate is like, what, 20-some years old? 21? And now, these companies saying that, you know, we're going to be good off y'all. We're going to use AI instead. So we read that again. This month, millions of young people will graduate from college and look for work in industries that have little use for their skills, view them as expensive and expendable, and are rapidly phasing out their jobs in favor of artificial intelligence. In favor of artificial intelligence instead of a college graduate. So if you're a so-called young person, you went to college, you got your degree, and now all of a sudden the companies that you might have been aspiring to work for are saying, no, we would favor AI instead. All right, it says, that is troubling. That is the troubling conclusion of my conversations over the past several months with economists, the keepers of the house, corporate executives, and young job seekers, many of whom pointed to an emerging crisis for entry-level workers that appears to be fueled, at least in part, by rapid advances in AI capabilities. Sound of work phase, door to life opportunities closed. It says you can see hints of this in the economic data. Unemployment for recent college graduates has jumped to an unusually high 5.8% in recent months, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently warned that the employment situation for these workers had deteriorated noticeably. Oxford Economics, these are all the keepers of the house. Oxford Economics, a research firm that studies labor markets, found that unemployment for recent graduates was heavily concentrated in technical fields like finance and computer science, where AI has made faster gains. So all these little niggas, all these college YNs, all these college young folks are seeing their job possibilities be squandered by AI. Just like that. Just like that. And then you still got all this war stuff going on. So what is really happening? The Lord is having Esau what? Bring the beast system. And ultimately going to bring what? The MOTB. All right, and it says there are signs that entry-level positions are being displaced by artificial intelligence at higher rates, the firm wrote in recent report. Now, that's the keepers of the house trembling. And it's going to trickle down to what these young people. And think about it. They did the right thing. They went to college. They went the higher learning route. And now all of a sudden, now you're telling these kids, oh, yeah, we're more in favor for AI. Man, fuck out of it. That's really what they're saying. Tech jobs. They even said, I got another article too, where it talks about coding. It says, but I'm convinced that what's showing up in economic data is only the tip of the iceberg. In interview after interview, I'm hearing that firms are making rapid progress toward automating entry-level work, and that AI companies are racing to build virtual workers that can replace junior employees at a fraction of the cost. See, Esau about his money. How do we have to pay less people? Pay less people. Have less people to pay. And so the race to build virtual workers is that can replace junior employees at a fraction of the cost. Corporate attitudes toward automation are changing too. Some firms have encouraged managers to become AI first, testing whether a given task can be done by AI before hiring a human to do it. So now they're doing experiments to see if the AI can do it instead of a human. Saying go AI route first to the managers. This is what's going on. This article's from May 30th. Wake up. People need to wake up and smell a coffee and see what's going on. You might not have a job to drink coffee at again soon enough. Because if they're talking about entry-level jobs for white-collar people, what does that mean for the future? Remember, that's a future. That these are the people that's graduating college now. Remember, it used to be the children were our future? So if they're saying that AI is going to be replacing white-collar entry-level jobs, what does that mean for the rest of the people? People like my age, people like a little older than me. What does that mean for the people that didn't go to school for that technical stuff? Because if the people that did go, if their jobs are being edged out, what does that say for the rest of the folks? What are they going to do? Assuring a universal basic income. Crash the system. Cash the society. No more jobs, just buying and sell. And then ultimately you get the market of beasts, which is the Marco See It. RFID, Marco See It. It's all part of the same show. And this what the Lord, this is a prophecy. This is a prophecy of YAHAWASHI. He said the sound of work, the door to life opportunity is closing and the sound of work fades. That's in this time we're living in right now. The keepers of the house, all these financial firms, all these people talking, all these, what is this? What did they have? Like Oxford Economics, Federal Reserve Bank of New York. All these people are talking about how AI is taking over and taking over quickly. All right, and it says, one tech executive recently told me his company has stopped hiring anything below a L5 software engineer. I'm not sure what that is, but hey, that's a person. It says a mid-level title typically given to programmers with 3 to 7 years of experience because lower-level tasks can now be done by AI coding tools. Another told me that his startup now employed a single data scientist to do the kinds of tasks that required a team of 75 people at his previous company. He went from 75 people to one person. It says anecdotes like these don't add up to mass joblessness, of course. Most economists believe there are multiple factors behind the rise in unemployment for college graduates, including a hiring slowdown by big tech companies and broader uncertainty about President Trump's economic policies, which means what? Those tariffs. Those tariffs are playing. Remember, everything the Lord has Esau doing, whether it be Trump or whatever, it's all going towards America's demise. See, they talk about making America great again. He talk about how he's going to make America great again with these things that he's doing, bring back jobs, factory jobs to America. But hold up. But now you talk about AI doing all this shit. They were talking about AI taking away 80% of the workforce. Driverless trucks. You had Toyota. Toyota invests hella money in Aurora, which is a driverless trucking company. Uber, FedEx. All this AI, all this automated stuff. Having need for less humans to work. Get rid of the humans. Now you see how these futuristic movies are starting to make a little sense now. It says, but among people who pay close attention to what's happening in AI, alarms are starting to go off. This is something I'm hearing about left and right, said Molly Kinder, a fellow at the Brookings Institution, a public policy think tank who studied the impact of AI on workers, which is what? The keepers of the house. The keepers of the house again. Saying that their alarms are starting to go off. It says, employers are saying these tools are so good that I no longer need marketing analysts, finance analysts, and research assistants. Call law YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, for your word is faithful and true. Jobs, the grind has ceased. No more jobs. All these computer tech, all these computer geeks, all these people, starting with the techs. White collar jobs. High paying jobs. And just like that, edged out. We don't need you humans anymore. We're going to have AI. We're going to have the computers do it. No. Oh. It says using AI to automate white-collar jobs has been a dream among executives for years. So they've been wanting to do this, and now they see the opportunity. It says, I heard from fantasizing about it in Davos back in 2019, which I believe Davos is those summits that where a World Economic Forum be at. It says, but until recently, the technology simply wasn't good enough. You could use AI to automate some routine back office tasks, and many companies did. But when it came to the more complex and technical parts of many jobs, AI couldn't hold a candle to humans. But now they're saying they could. Now they're saying that AI can hold a candle to the humans. It says that is starting to change, especially in fields such as software engineering, where there are clear markers of success and failure, such as does the code work or not. In these fields, AI systems can be trained using a trial and error process known as reinforcement learning to perform complex sequences of actions on their own. So basically, they're trying to really go hard to really not have to hire humans. So they're going to try a trial and error kind of program. You see how that works? And I believe brother told me what he said, offshore employees. So like you have like employees for American companies that work abroad, like quote unquote in India or in Japan or wherever they might be. They're going to be first to get let go, because this AI is going to it's taking over the globe, taking over the earth. World Economic Forum. They talked about all these are the things they all been probably speaking about for years. The guy said they've been fantasizing about it since 2019, which is a year before the what? The EMIC. So you mean and just like that, it's going full throttle. It says eventually they can become competent at carrying out tasks that would take human workers hours or days to complete. So they're saying that the AI now can do things that could take humans, what says, hours or days to complete. It says this approach was on display last week at an event held by Anthropic, the AI company that makes the cloud chatbot. Now, that's the guy that was talking about the white-collar jobs being taken out. It says the company claims that its most powerful model, Claude Opus 4, can now code for several hours without stopping. A tantalizing possibility if your company accustomed to paying six-figure engineer salaries for that kind of productivity. So they say they're getting rid of all of these high-paid engineers, coders, and all of that. Now they say the AI could do it. It says AI companies are starting with software engineering and other technical fields because that's where the low-hanging fruit is. And perhaps because that's where their own labor costs are highest. But these companies believe the same techniques will soon be used to automate work in dozens of occupations, ranging from consulting to finance to marketing. Dario Almadai, Anthropic's chief executive, recently predicted that AI could eliminate half of all entry-level white-collar jobs within 5 years. Within 5 years. So 2030. Half of the entry-level white-collar jobs could be wiped out by AI. And that's what he's predicting. It could be worse and quicker. It says that timeline could be widely off if firms outside tech adopt AI more slowly than many Silicon Valley companies have, or if it's harder than expected to automate jobs in more creative and open-ended occupations where training data is scarce. It says, but even if AI doesn't take all the entry-level jobs right away, two trends concern me. He said the first is that in a rush to boost productivity and stay ahead of the curve, some companies may be turning to AI too early, before the tools are robust enough to handle full entry-level workloads. We recently saw an example of this in Klarna, the Swedish buy now, pay later company, which declared 2 years ago that it was replacing customer service agents with AI chatbots, only to reverse course and rehire humans after customers complain. So they still got some kinks they'll have to work out. But at the end of the day, they're willing to go that trial and error way. They're willing to take that risk. It says some executives are making a calculated bet that AI systems will improve quickly, or that the money they stand to save by employing virtual workers instead of human ones is worth a few unhappy customers. Oh my gosh! So they're willing to have a few unhappy customers. You see that? That's what they think of you. Here's what they think of you. It says, but others may not realize the risk they're taking. It says the second is that even if entry-level jobs don't disappear right away, the expectation that those jobs are short-lived may lead companies to underinvest in job training, mentorship, and other programs aimed at entry-level workers that could leave those workers unprepared for more senior roles later on. But how later on are you talking about? You still got a full-fledged war going on. You still got a nuclear war brewing. So this system, the way it is with the human employees, and if they're trying to do all this with AI, it's going to take a few years. So we almost out of here. Because now, soon enough, they're going to bring in a mark of the beast. That's what people got to understand. The mark of the beast is still got to come before any nukes fly and any destruction comes for America. It says nobody has patience or time for hand-holding in its new environment, where a lot of the work can be done by AI. Autonomously, Heather Dashai, the head of people and talent at the venture capital firm Signify, told me, if there's a silver line for recent graduates, it's that, at least for some of them, the threat of AI replacing seems to be lighting a usual kind of fire. Some young workers I spoke to are using their experience with AI to vault themselves ahead of more senior colleagues, and others are steering clear of the traditional ladder climbing professions altogether. Trevor Chow, who sounds like a Moabite, 23, a recent Stanford graduate living in San Francisco, told me that many friends had weighed AI progress among their considerations when looking for jobs. Few of them were going into traditional tech and finance careers. He said, and more were doing risky things like starting companies on the theory that if humans are about to lose their labor advantage to powerful AI systems, they had better hurry up and do something big. It feels like there aren't that many years left to do things, he said. If the amount of leverage you have as a human becomes very small, a lot of career paths that don't pay off for many years aren't worthwhile. Hold on, let me read that again. Let me go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3 in the NLT. It reads, remember him, which is the Heavenly Father, the Creator. Remember him before your legs, the guards of your house, start to tremble. With those are the keepers of the house, these economics people. We're talking about how AI taking over, how these entry-level jobs being taken over. It says, your shoulders, the strong men stoop. Remember him before your teeth. Your few remaining servants verse 4. Now this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4 in the NLT. It says, remember him before the door to life's opportunities is closed. So when it's the door to life's opportunities, we're going to close. And the sound of work fades. Now you rise at the first chirping of the birds, but then all their sounds will grow faint. So I mean, it ain't gonna be no more jobs. The door to life's opportunities is closed, and the sound of work fades. What did this Robert Child just say? Or Trevor Child, 23, a recent Stanford graduate living in San Francisco, told me that many friends had weighed AI progress among their considerations when looking for jobs. Few of them were going into traditional tech and finance careers, he said, and more were doing risky things like starting companies on a theory that if humans are about to lose their labor advantages to powerful AI systems, they had better hurry and do something big. Oh, here where it gets good. It feels like there aren't that many years left to do things, he said, and there's not that many years left for America. That's what, and now people starting to get the memo. Now what? Your livelihood is threatened. When people work is threatened, that's when people want to take notice of things. Now you can't work. Because now they're going to be like, well, how am I going to make money? Well, Esau going to say, oh, we got something for you. We got this universal basic income. You don't have to work. You still get paid, and goods and services don't diminish. That's what Elon Musk said. Excuse me. It says that it feels like this is what Robert Child, this is a recent college graduate saying, from Stanford University, which I believe is an Ivy League school, I believe. It says, it feels like there aren't that many years left to do things, he said. If the amount of leverage you have as a human becomes very small, a lot of career paths that don't pay off for many years aren't worthwhile. And that's the end. That's the end. That's the end. The sound of work is fading. The door to life's opportunities is closing. And soon enough it's going to be completely closed. There's going to be no more work. They said what? 80% of the workforce cut. And that's how they're going to bring in a universal basic income. You have ex-president Barack Obama. He would talk about how AI is taking over and taking over quickly. And that's going to be the good jobs. The good jobs. So let alone once they get to the factory workers, the real so-called peasants. Once the blue collar. Because remember, they talk about the white collar jobs. And if the white collar job, the college graduates don't have any jobs to go. You got all these people that didn't get these white collar entry level degrees. What's going to happen? And that's what they're going to say. We got this universal basic income, and it's going to be just like in the time of the lockdown, where you getting the stimulus checks, you get unemployment checks. That's going to be the universal basic income, and that's it. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's over. That's what it's over. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Shalom.